On 24th February 2022, 2 years ago, Russian forces entered Ukraine, launching the biggest war in Europe since World War II. Since then, estimates say hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian and Russian troops have been killed or injured. The UN has also recorded some 30,000 civilian casualties, although real numbers are likely to be much higher. As we look back at the 2 years of fighting, what have the two nations really achieved? Russia is quick to claim victories, the latest one being the city of Avdiivka. But let's be realistic. One thing that looms large over both the nations is the war fatigue. The West, which had sworn unwavering support to Ukraine, now is dilly-dallying with the promised weapon deliveries. This delay by the Western allies is opening a door for Russian battlefield advances, according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, making the fight very difficult along parts of the front line. European countries are struggling to find enough stocks to send to Kyiv, and US help worth $60 billion is stalled over political differences. Meanwhile, around 20% of Ukraine's territory is now in Russian hands, with Ukrainian troops struggling to penetrate a front line that has barely moved in more than a year. With no end to the war in sight, Ukraine's army is struggling with recruitment and more soldiers are asking to return home. Zelensky says the military wants 500,000 new recruits to reprieve exhausted frontline troops. When the Russian army mounted a full-scale invasion 2 years ago, Ukrainian men zealously rushed to recruitment centers across the country to enlist, ready to die in defense of their nation. Today, with Russia in control of roughly 1/4 of Ukraine and the two armies virtually deadlocked along a 1,000-kilometer front line, that spirit to enlist has faded. Many Ukrainian men are evading the draft by hiding at home or trying to bribe their way out of the battle. As the war enters its third year, the most urgent and politically sensitive challenge pressing on Ukraine is whether it can muster enough new soldiers to repel an enemy with far more fighters at its disposal. Russia, which benefits from having a larger population, appears able to fill its rank with a mix of patriotic propaganda, coercion, and financial incentives. As the elections approach in Russia, President Putin seems to be making more and more public appearances and seems to be glorifying the war at every given opportunity. Basically, neither is ready to give in. Even as the war drags on, Ukraine remains determined to recapture its lost territory, but crucial Western support is eroding. Europe has been unable to ramp up weapon supplies fast enough, and delays to much-needed US military aid have cast a shadow over how long Kyiv's troop can hold out. And Russia, that has secured weapons from new suppliers like North Korea, apart from ramping up domestic production, is just waiting for Ukraine to run out of ammunition. The capture of Avdiivka, biggest victory in the war since May 2023. Although there are signs of public fatigue in Russia also with the duration of the conflict, diplomats and analysts say President Putin will only be satisfied with Kyiv's full surrender. But in fact, Putin clearly keeps the negotiation route also open.
There has been uproar and screaming about inflicting a strategic defeat to Russia on the battlefield. But now, apparently, they have realized that this is not easy to do, if at all possible.
In my opinion, it is impossible by definition. It will never happen. I think those who control power in the West have realized this.
But if this is true and if they have realized it, they have to think what to do next.
We are ready for this dialogue.
Some believe Putin to be awaiting a possible Donald Trump victory in this year's US presidential elections, despite recently saying he would prefer a Biden presidency for its predictability. In a sign of commitment to Ukraine, the European Union has approved a new €50 billion aid package and has opened formal membership talks with the country. Although Putin has said he'd be open to talks, Kyiv has long held the position that no negotiations are possible until Russia withdraws from all occupied territories.
Will the war end in 2024?
I think no one knows the answer. Even those respected people, our commanders or Western partners, when they say that the war will go on for many years, they don't know. If we do not lose our resilience, we will end the war sooner if we do not lose our spirit.
You can live with skepticism, but you can lose your country with skepticism. And I'm not ready for that. I know that there are many people like me, millions of them. We are not ready to give up our country.
While lofty speeches from both sides may be to keep up the morale, the ground realities are the ones that bite. Ukraine is facing a new challenge of border blockades by Polish farmers. Polish farmers blocked border crossings with Ukraine, spilled Ukrainian grain, and burnt tires as they intensified a nationwide protest against the import of Ukrainian foods and European Union environmental policies. The farmers say Ukrainian grain and other food imports are damaging their livelihoods by creating a glut in the market that pushes down prices. Poland's foreign ministry said it was concerned by anti-Ukrainian slogans and banners praising Russian President Vladimir Putin at a recent farmers' blockade. But things like this happen when people grow war-weary. Support for wars always erodes with time as dust settles in and reality dawns. Also, now the world has another war to focus on and make the right noises about: in Gaza. 2 years of more or less a stalemate is enough to lose anyone's attention, even the media's. Do tell us what you think about this video in the comment section, and for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.